Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another installment of the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast. And it's with a heavy heart that I come here tonight to pay my respects to one Chris Youngblood, a friend of mine, a friend of Tony's, a friend of BCW Worldwide, Chris Romero, passed away this morning, July 7th. And yeah, it's been a pretty rough time. Chris Youngblood is the son of Ricky Romero. Started training at age 13. Made his pro debut as Chris Youngblood in 1985. Teamed up with Mark Youngblood right after his older brother Jay Youngblood passed away. I mean, like he's done a lot. WCCW in Texas, Global Wrestling Federation, USWA, WWC in Puerto Rico, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. I mean, WCW.
And a considerable career over in All Japan Pro Wrestling, where he made his name. It was his tours in All Japan and then WWC Puerto Rico is what got him noticed to get hired for Turner, NWA, WCW. Chris has told a lot of stories about his time in All Japan in Puerto Rico. I remember one. I think it was probably the first, maybe the second time that he had been over at BCW, and I had mentioned that I was talking a little bit about Japan, and Chris was he kind of perked up a little bit, and he was surprised because he was like, "Well, somebody else here knows about Japan. Somebody else here knows about FMW," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've been following that stuff for long ass time," and that's kind of how we started we got to talking, and that was kind of how we kind of kindled our friendship.
Yeah, he we talked about New Japan and my time wrestling for the New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Chris was a real cool dude, man. I mean, there's a lot of people in this business that, they get into this business and they get like this superstar aura about them, like the arrogance and the downright shittiness, like being a shithead in this industry. And Chris wasn't like that. He was a real cool dude, like always like down to earth, and like being the booker of a company and having a legend like Chris come to you and say, "Hey man, so you're the boss. What do you need for me to do?" So humble. The guys that he worked with and was around, guys like Mike DiBiase, Cody Jones, like, just the dude fucking has been around everywhere, man. Like he's wrestled Stone Cold Steve Austin, from Steve Austin to the fucking Cuban Assassin.
One of Steve Austin's very first matches.
Yeah, he's been everywhere, man. He in NWA Southwest out there in Texas. He was running a school, and that's where I met Chris.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, so speaking as a booker, speaking as somebody who's run the day-to-day operations of a promotion, that's something that you and Chris definitely could both identify with, because he had his own promotion, in Renegade Wrestling, and he'd ran that out of Amarillo.
Yeah, he was wrestling. He was a booker. He was a manager. He managed a stable called the Bloodline. It was like, with Ricky Romero III. His it's just, I can't like really sit here tonight and talk wrestling.
Yeah.
Like usually I can come on here and I can be like, "Hey, this is going on in wrestling today," or "Hey, this is," like, honestly, man, today has just been a really fucking horrible day.
Yeah.
To wake up to this to get a call at 8 o'clock in the morning, you know, um,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it's just, it's fucking hard, man.
It is.
It makes you think, you know what I mean? Like the people in your lives that come in your life and go out of your lives, the people who love you, the people who loved you at one point and don't love you now, or whatever not. You got to think about
Yeah.
this, man.
Yeah.
Life is really fucking short, and you can die
It really
like
is.
like that. You know what I mean? So don't harbor any hatred or ill will or any drama or bullshit. Like just I mean, fuck. It's it's crazy. Um, Amory. Emery said, one of the best. He was so real. Thanks for the memories. Condolences to the family. That's true. Like he was, like I said, he was a real fucking good dude. There ain't that many of us in his business.
Yeah, and that was one of the first things I noticed about him when I talked with him. He, he never took wrestling to like he took it seriously. He had his opinions obviously, but he never took it too seriously just where he was so full of himself in regards to the professional wrestling business that it was overbearing. No, he knew how to separate professional wrestling and his personal life, his family life. And that was always, whenever I would hang out with him, that was always cool because, we could talk about wrestling, but a lot of the times we were just bullshitting about movies a lot of the time.
Yeah, like he was such a fucking movie buff, man.
He really was. Me and him, we went and we saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Yep.
at the Hollywood Theater one time, and Uh, it was so fun because, I could you could kinda tell that he didn't know that what are called repertory theaters,
Yeah.
he didn't know that they existed, so it kinda blew his mind that we were watching it on a big screen upstairs in the theater, and that
Right.
was so cool, you know?
Like like I said, he was such a real dude. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because when my mom passed away, it will be 1 year, 2 weeks from now. Um, when my mom passed away, he was one of the first people to message me, and he shared stories about his brother, and like I take to heart those things. I mean, sometimes I'm a badass. Sometimes I talk a lot of shit on the podcast, and I'm just, I like to have fun. I'm a fun guy, but when I get in
Yeah,
my feelings, when I get into like this, I get real serious about that, and I'm real serious about life. And
same.
at that point, I was at a point where I was so lost and broken, and he just like put his arm around me. He's like, "Listen here, little man." I mean, I'm fucking 6 foot, 220 pounds. I'm not a little man, but to him, I was a little man. And
Exactly.
it just like sometimes you need that. And I always say, and Gregor Petrov is one of those guys that he'll tell you he loves you every day. He goes into our group chat and he tells people he loves them, and I try to live that way too. Like I have so much anxiety about things that are going on right now, and just trying to be positive is really hard. It's a really fucking hard thing, especially when you wake up. When you wake up to some horrible news like this, it's just like,
Yeah,
fuck, what else?
yeah, exactly.
But the one positive thing about this whole thing is that Chris passed away, um, and he gets to go be with his father and his brother.
That's right.
What I mean? He's leaving people behind, but it's not really leaving us behind. It's just like, hey, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
You know. So, with that, I asked a few people if they would be interested in coming on tonight during the
Yes.
podcast and sharing some stories and talking about like what a positive mental person that Chris was and how they were influenced by him and how they became a better person and a better individual in this business because of him. So
Yeah.
one of those people is online right now, and
Yeah, let's get him in here. Yeah.
it's funny that I bring this guy on, and um, I think this guy has got more out of being around Chris than a lot of people in the locker room did.
I
So,
think you're
ladies and
right.
gentlemen, let me introduce to you the Russian pit bull, Gregor Petrov.
What's up, guys?
Hey, man, welcome to the podcast. And normally I give you like a real cool ass intro, but it's not about that tonight.
No,
I
man, you got to
apologize.
keep Chris over.
Yep. Exactly.
That's
He's
right.
already. I was listening there when you were talking about him not being too serious, you know, and like still respecting the business. And like one of the good memories, we worked that match with the Measure 11,
That's right.
and we kept another program like alive and kicking with story and program development. And I find it interesting and funny that BJ called me the Russian pit bull, because when the Measure 11 went to war with the Medicine Man that night, the Hellhound was born. Like
Yeah.
Petrov and that ghost, when I ate them ashes, like we had a bad reaction to his voodoo magic, and that, I mean, it just is a turning point at that point. And like I have everything that I would be currently in this current time in existence for Petrov. Like that is due to Chris.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, that was a match with you and Tommy, and it was against Chris and Lone Star, right?
Iron Man, I want to say.
Oh, it was Iron Man. Okay,
It was Iron Man.
Okay, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. I
I
mean,
remember that match too. I remember what Chris said to me after the match. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it on the podcast because it was embarrassed. One of the four men in that ring, man. We all know who it is. So we'll leave it at
That you just made so much more sense, because the only thing, because I come back, you know, make sure everything is cool. Like, what lessons do you got for me? And all I could got was like a wink at, and it's like, it's not you, kid. It's not you. Good job. There's a fucking pat on the back, and I was like,
there you go.
okay, that's a fucking win then. Like,
Pretty much,
if it ain't me, it ain't me.
Yeah.
This was one of those times where I had the office back there in the back, and everyone knew if I asked you to come to the office, one or two things are going to happen. You're about to get yelled at, or you're about to get fired. And
or you're about to get yelled at, told you're a brilliant son of a bitch, and be like, if you do that again, you're fired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much how it always went. But he fucking walked in there and he's like, "Hey man, yeah." He turned around and walked back out. I was like, "What the fuck?" So I go up to him. I said, "You okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." That's all he said. And I'm like, "I saw you take a lot of heat." And he was like, "Well, I wasn't supposed to. Let's just call it what it is." I was like, "All right, man, I got you.
But no, and like in those days, like Measure 11 was pushed super aggressively. So like,
yeah,
dude, it was a long fucking night for Chris. I mean, we were easy with him, and it just when you got to take fucking 99 and 100% of a heat for your team, it doesn't matter if you're wrestling 2, 3, fucking 12 guys. Like, it's just gonna be a long night.
Yep,
that's right. Oh man.
But that should speak to his professionalism and
exactly. That's what
his dedication and ability to get the job done and do the sake of good business.
Agreed.
Man. And he did a lot of good business, man. In and out of the ring. There were times where he would call me and he'd say, "Hey man, I'm in town. You know, this is before he moved from Texas. He's like, "Hey man, I'm moving to Portland, and I'd like to become a part of the BCW family permanently." And I'm like, "You don't even have to fucking ask, man. The door is always open."
Exactly.
And, he said, "I don't want to step on any toes, but what can I do to help? How can I help you to help me to help you?" One of my favorite phrases to say. And he just was like, "Hey man, you tell me what you need me to do. I'm there." So I love that mental attitude when it comes to this business. There's so many egos, so much drama, and so much backbiting, and it's really fucking refreshing to find someone that respects you, that respects the business, stays in their lane, so to speak.
Yeah.
Respects the way the machine is ran, and to be so humble. I mean, this dude's wrestled fucking Steve Austin, man. Like
I know, right?
he's wrestled all over the world. He's been on television. He was ranked 331 in the top 500 singles wrestlers in PWI 500 in 1991. Him and his brother were ranked one of the 100 best tag teams during PWI 2003 year in review. That's fucking dude. That's to be ranked in that magazine is such a fucking honor, dude. Like you have no
wrestling
clue.
royalty.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know,
They're
the
just
whole
wrestling
family.
royalty, and that puts that family in an elite group of just certain families that like. And there's no bullshit in that lineage. Like,
I mean, there was the Von Erichs, there was the fucking the Freebirds, there was the Von Erichs, there was the Andersons, there's the Youngbloods. You know, he teamed with Ricky Steamboat. You know, like shit, like dude, the dude's fucking done so much amazing shit. From WWE,
the Romero family,
WCW. Yeah, man, they're fucking.
They had
awesome.
they basically they came up feuding with the Guerreros. I mean, those two were linked together for forever, it seemed like, and yeah, that was some of the best stuff, you know.
there was a speaking of a Romero.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this for my Uncle Chris. We'd like to get you out. Look, hey, man, Rick, thank you very much for coming on.
Yes.
It's an honor and a privilege to be able to do this for you guys. Like, Chris was a fucking amazing dude. I mean, you know that personally, but a lot of us here in Portland at BCW Worldwide, we love Chris, and he wasn't just one of the boys. He wasn't just one of the wrestlers. He was like legitimately our family, and our hearts go out to you, man. And if you need anything, you can just go slide into the DMs, and we will figure out how we can help you and the family out, because he really was one of the fucking best dudes I've ever met. And I'm trying not to fucking bawl my eyes out right now, so I apologize if I kind of go off a little bit, but
Same.
It's a pretty serious situation, and we love him, and we love you guys too. So thank you, Rick, for joining us. And like I said, if there's anything we can do, please let us know.
Absolutely.
Oh man. I mean, from Puerto Rico, man. I know he teamed up with Mark back in 2019 in Puerto Rico, and I know he had a match where he lost a match to the Cuban Assassin in Florida for FUW, and we were talking about that match, and he was so excited because he was like, "Yeah, man, it's pretty cool to wrestle Fidel Sierra." And then at Cauliflower Alley, the whole family gets the Family Wrestling Award in 2015.
I was gonna say that was the first time that you guys had contact with him, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've known him from like back when I wrestled in Texas. I believe that I introduced him in Tex Thompson.
That was kind of where the link was made. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of Tex Thompson, Shannon, one of the owners of BCW Worldwide, our love and prayers go to Chris's family. He's in our hearts forever. Love Cowboy Tex and Shannon.
Yep.
So yeah, like I said, man, it's shit.
Yeah.
Well, and Tex, man, he's taking that hard because you tagged with him once, you tagged with him for life. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so I mean, he takes that for real. Like, it's just the love that he has, like.
Normally we come on the podcast and we have a lot of fun. We play games and we do. I mean, like, I don't know, man. And our guest that was coming on tonight, Danny Duggan from Canada, CWE, he graciously stepped to the side and said, "Hey, man, this is more important. This is way more important." And even up in Canada, like Chris has love from the Canadians as well. Native Blue Big Chief right here says, "Let's see, my prayers to the family from Chief Williams and to I can never say that.
Tulalip.
Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
I can never fucking say that. I lived in Oregon 15 years. I should be able to say it, right?
No, because that's like Upper Washington. That's like borderline
is.
South Canada.
It is.
Oh, so
yeah.
it doesn't matter then.
But you're Canadian, so I don't know if you can get away with that.
Well,
He has a point.
my part of Canada is above Montana, so yeah. Shout out to Calgary, Alberta. Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, Patty wants to know why she didn't get the link. So here you go, Patty. There's your link.
There we go.
All right.
Hopefully, we'll be joined by Patty here
Oh no,
shortly.
Patty's not going to join us.
Okay.
Patty's not going to join us. She's probably at pool right now, but I know she's
or
still
at least
rehabbing.
she'll maybe comment.
Yeah, she's listening.
At least that.
There's a couple other people that are going to join us tonight. Tommy Celsius is supposed to join us, and James Beard, someone who knows Chris a lot. James Beard has been around him all, through the whole career in Texas for the NWA, and just me and James talked earlier, and it was pretty emotional. So anyway, let's do this real quick. Let's go to a quick commercial break so I can kind of compose myself because I kind of feel it coming on. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Drive me insane! All these rules are lame, cause they're taking all the fun out! Drive me insane! All these rules are lame, cause they're taking all the fun out! Drive me insane! All these rules...
When you want to get your hair cut, you go get your hair cut right. You head down to Big D's Barbershop. Big D's Barbershop, Vancouver, Washington's best and brightest. 1019 Main Street, Vancouver, Washington, where you can go get your hair lined up, cuts, fades, shampoos, conditions, and all the great things that go with supporting a local barbershop in a local business area. You can also reach them online at www.bigdsbarbershop.com. Go get your haircut right.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
And we are back. Thank you for joining us once again. So Tony, we're gonna go back and do some old school Roundtable Pro Wrestling podcast shit. We haven't done this in a while, but I'm really excited to do this right now. We're gonna actually showcase a match in the career of Chris Youngblood.
Sure.
And Tony, let the fans know what the ones that are listening on Google and Spotify, on iHeartRadio and Amazon Music and all those cool places that we're fortunate to be featured on every week. Can you let them know what the match is going to be?
So let me set the stage a little bit here. We kind of alluded to this earlier in the podcast. So Chris had a nice run in the Texas territories, late 80s, early 90s. GWF, USWA, when USWA had expanded into Texas. And Chris, at that time, had adopted the medicine man persona, as you alluded to, Petrov. And so this was one of his television appearances, and It's not a long match, but it is certainly memorable given the opponent in this matchup. Well, we'll go to this here.
I'll tell you one thing. I bet it's really cold.
Yeah, it's maybe
Is it ice cold?
It's just like stone cold.
Oh shit!
Can I get a hell yeah?
So
What?
this matchup from USWA Texas features one of the very first matches of one Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
Huh? Oh yeah, this is what?
Is that Ken Resnick? Hey, is that Chris Adams?
Might be.
My God, that is the gentleman Chris
is.
Adams.
Whoa, the originator of the super kick.
All the way from Manchester, England, by way of Dallas, Texas. Look at that Renegade Rampage. Chief Youngblood versus Steve Williams. Look, that's when Steve Williams had hair.
He's got the old Stunning Steve tights on. It's funny, though. He has the long ones here. He would use, I guess he had them trimmed or something for his run at WCW, which would actually come about a year later.
Yeah, look at the physique on that guy.
I know, right?
Nice arm drag by Chris. What people don't know that
Chris is putting on a little bit of a clinic here.
I mean, like he's facing off against a WWE Hall of Famer.
Shit, here they're just two young, hungry guys trying to cut their teeth. Like,
I know, right?
Look at this right here, ladies and gentlemen. His best gimmick and at the prime of his ring career, my best memories as a kid growing up was being able to watch Chris Mark and my dad, Ricky Romero Jr.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
Man, I understand that
adjustments here.
Ricky Romero III is a top-notch individual wrestler too. And I just happen to know the guy who does the booking for BCW Worldwide. Like I know that guy personally. Like I can probably pick up my phone right now and send him a text and get you booked. Just
possibility.
saying. I'm pretty sure I know.
Caught him with that kick right in the face.
There's that War Dance.
Working the gimmick.
Drove that knee in.
Look at all that hair. That Chris Youngblood I know was a blonde-haired guy.
Uh-huh. Textbook butterfly suplex.
I remember watching this. Look at the referee. The referee is Tony Falk. Wow, I think I'm dating myself. People are going to know how old I really am by calling all of these moves.
Oh, box the ears.
That's a classic move.
There it is.
The crowd is into this. You can tell.
Shit, I'm into this right now.
Breaking the back. That's old school. And he was the face. Double chops to the top of the head. Going for another textbook suplex.
Oh
my God. That was
dropped
a DDT.
Him face first.
Weird DDT. Like,
shit. Stone
Cold. Timestamp that. Was that the first? We need to talk to Jake and the Grappler about this.
Right?
Oh! Going for that second rope elbow.
It's a good cut off.
A drop kick from Steve Austin. Oh my God.
Yeah, you don't see that anymore, do you? That was a pretty lazy power slam.
Yeah, man. Like
butterfly
suplex. The basics still work. Like
they do.
People pop for them because they don't see them all the time. So it's like I don't know. It's just fun. It's fun. It's safe. Like most people can do it.
Missed it that time.
And look, and ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that Stone Cold Steve Austin at this particular time was still pretty new to the game, but Chris being look at that
The
leg drop.
whoopee
That looked
cushion.
familiar.
Look at that locked. Look at that 1, 2, and 3. So look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Youngblood just defeated a fucking WWE Hall of Famer.
But he never stopped working and shit.
I know, right?
That's what working. Anytime we worked together, that's what it was like. Like, I mean, just the.
We got a class act in the ring and out.
Beautiful.
Man. Yeah, Cheryl said it. She loved that finisher. Just like she finished off Shane last week in the quiz. Yeah. His in-ring mechanics was brilliant. Yeah, that's right.
And again, that was not long before Steve Austin had gotten signed to WCW. As a matter of fact.
And you know, Rick, you said it yourself, man. He made a lot of people at that time. He made him look really fucking good.
Yep.
Yeah,
made him look like he could hang, and not long after that, I mean, and it was kind of funny because so Chris was coming off of his run in NWA, WCW, you know, as part of the Renegade Warriors with Mark. It was kind of like this in between time. You know, he was coming off of that run, and Steve was getting ready to head on over, and kind of a little fun little bit of history there.
And you know, when Chris went to retirement, the WWE came calling, and they were like, "Hey, we want you to become a producer, and you know, start training some of our young talent, scout talent for us." And he turned it down because he didn't want to be saddled with a desk job. He wanted to still be active in the industry. And we talked about that quite frequently, about him not doing a producer job. And because I got offered the same type of position. And I only knew that he was one person I knew, other than the people that I know that work in WWE now, that offered that job. And he was like, you know, you'll never be happy doing something like that. He was so right, because if I'd have took that job and moved to Florida, I would have got fired 3 months later. And look,
Lance Storm actually alluded to that when I was taking one of his classes yesterday. He was talking about what all goes into being a producer with WWE, and he was completely thrown off by it because he said he didn't. So obviously, when putting together a match, there's some, you know, maybe a little bit of, you know, call it in the ring, so to speak. They actively discourage that.
Oh yeah,
WWE.
Yeah, it's
actively.
It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if you mess up at G, you can't go to H until you go back to G. So, yeah.
And he was kind of put off by it. Like he really didn't enjoy that, and that's something I'm pretty sure Chris would not have been on board with.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like I said, Chris did so much crazy stuff in his career, man. Like, he literally was part of Scandal Act via fucking Devastation Incorporated.
That was actually right around that time, that match we just saw, actually.
And what you people don't understand about Scandal Akbar, his whole gimmick was he was like this Arab wrestler who hated America, and he convinced Chris to turn heel and started managing him, and made his gimmick, changed his gimmick name from Chris Youngblood to Pronto, because he was making fun of the American Indian heritage.
Yeah.
And that's, as a matter of fact, that is when Chris started feuding with Steve Austin.
Yep. Yep. Had the Medicine Man gimmick and everything going there, and then it was kind of in between tours of All Japan. So once it was time to head back, Chris and Mark they went back to All Japan, where they had probably their most famous run of both their careers. Chris, I mean, they were working with guys like Stan Hansen. They were working with guys like Terry Gordy, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, just some of the all-time greats. Never mind the homegrown guys like Nisawa, Kawada, Kobashi, Akiyama. I mean, you want to talk about a who's who of rosters? I mean,
Yeah.
right there is, I mean, you can't get much better than that.
Not to mention like the Road Warriors and the Steiner Brothers on WCW. When
That's
they were
right.
Renegade Warriors. I remember that me and Chris had a conversation about the Bruiser Brody situation in Puerto Rico. Him and his brother were actually in the locker room when the whole gimmick happened. And
after the Vice TV, the Dark Side of the Ring thing on Brody, as a matter of fact, we had a conversation about that.
Yeah.
And he had some thoughts on some stuff that wasn't covered. Respectfully, but yeah, there were a few things there that weren't. They didn't really delve into that they probably should have. Stuff that Chris definitely could have had some insight to.
Yeah, I mean, it just there's so much stuff going on, man. There were so many things that could have happened. Championships, he was NWA. They were the NWA Australian Tag Team Champions, WWA Heavyweight Championship, WWC Caribbean Champions, Tag Team Champions 6 times with Mark. Brass Knuckles Champion up there.
You want to talk about some names that they faced in Puerto Rico?
Man, the Funks, the Invaders, the Moondogs, the Medics, fucking King Tonga, Hercules Ayala, the Rock and Roll RPMs, Mike Davis and Tommy Lane, which was one of my favorite knockoff tag teams.
And I mean,
the Bushwhackers.
You had as the Sheep Herders. You had a young Kensuke Sasaki, like
exactly
when he was still a rail thin, black trunks wearing young boy, and he was teaming with Mr. Pogo.
Man, they faced a tag team that I'm very like the Nasty Boys. They faced a tag team that I'm very, very close to because one of those guys helped train me. They faced a tag team called the International Males, and that was Christopher Daniels and Mr. Windy City himself, Kevin Quinn.
That's right.
Kevin Quinn was the guy who was training us when we were under WWE Developmental for UPW at the Raw Center in El Segundo. Kevin Quinn is an amazing fucking guy, dude.
I was gonna say, a lot of people don't remember Kevin Quinn.
I remember him because he used to beat me up every Sunday night at the Raw Center.
Yeah, if not for Kevin Quinn, I mean, there's a lot of talent out there that we wouldn't see today. I mean, Christopher Daniels just being one of them.
Yeah.
A lot of those Second City Chicago guys, we wouldn't have them.
That's right.
So
you wouldn't have John Cena because Kevin Quinn was one of the guys that helped train, help mentor John Cena back in the UPW days. So you would not, without Kevin Quinn and Christopher Daniels, there'd be no Prototype, there'd be no John Cena, there'd be no Luther Reigns, there'd be no, God.
That was around the time Samoa Joe was there.
Yeah, but there'd be no Samoa Joe because he was with UPW. There'd be no B-Boy. You know, there'd be no Cat. Yeah, there'd be no Kaz. There'd be no Scorpio Sky because all of us got trained at the UPW doing UPW light shows. So think about
UPW has always been an interesting subject to me, just because around the time that I was getting into independent wrestling, this was around time that I had I was first starting to understand that there was wrestling outside of WWE, WCW, and all that. And one of the first indies that if you can call them an indie, I mean, one of the first ones that I discovered was this thing called UPW, because they had this video series where they basically taught you how to be a wrestler on VHS. That featured the likes of John Cena, that featured the likes of Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, so on and so forth.
Yep.
Tom
That was it, man.
Howard.
Tom
guys
Howard.
Yeah,
All ran by Rick Bassman.
that's right.
Who interesting story. Rick Bassman got the developmental deal with WWE. So everyone that worked for UPW was under a developmental deal.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because Jim Ross would come to UPW shows and watch.
I would hear stories about just
And
guys
Jim
who would
Ross.
just show up at random, just completely unexpected.
Bro, the craziest thing that ever happened at UPW is, as far as I'm concerned, the craziest thing I've ever experienced at UPW was during a light show in El Segundo. In El Segundo. During a light show in El Segundo, we were getting ready to do our thing. And fucking Kurt Angle walks in wearing a three-piece suit.
I heard about this.
And he's like, "Hey, who wants to spar with us? You guys want to learn some stuff?" And dude, like, legit takes off his Rolex watch, his Ferragamo shoes, and his fucking cufflinks, takes off his tie, and he's still in a suit pants and a dress shirt, and he spars with every person there.
Oh my god.
Nicest dude ever.
Yeah.
And it was just so weird because I'm like, here I am at UPW, and all of a sudden this dude just walks in like, "Hey, Oh man, it was crazy.
Let's go ahead and highlight this comment here. I'd love to do a cast about the racism in wrestling and how it screwed a lot of colored wrestlers because of ignorant politicians and brown nosing. Wanted to chime in on the Pronto gimmick. Absolutely.
Dude,
Yeah.
if you want to come on the show next week, we can open the door for
awesome.
you. Man.
That would be absolutely wonderful.
You have a permanent seat at the table, man. You can come anytime you want to.
Yeah, we've shared our thoughts on the some of the bigotry and racism, that's involved in professional wrestling. But I mean, we never really get to hear it from a perspective of, somebody who really got to see it, firsthand. So that would be absolutely great.
Yep. I bet 90% of it's going to be WWE related, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to kind of stay away from talking about that tonight. But going back to Chris's career, I mean, we were talking about Puerto Rico and, some of the names that he faced there. What a lot of people don't know is that in Puerto Rico in the late 80s, early 90s, it was also kind of a feeder territory for New Japan. Muto, Great Muta, he went there in the mid 80s, doing it was the Super Black Ninja persona at that time. A lot of guys would kind of go there to get some seasoning from the Puerto Rico vets. And so they would come back to Japan, and so many guys kind of went through that whole system that ended up just becoming just legends. And so with the Youngbloods going there after their no, it was actually it would predate their run in the NWA. It was actually, from what I understand, it was kind of a stop in between their All Japan tours. So basically, they would kind of alternate going from Japan to Puerto Rico.
Most people did that back in those days too.
Yeah, and they would maybe make the occasional stop in the United States, but yeah, they would just kind of go back and forth, and that's how you made your living at that point. Just constant touring and just the that way, you can do your 4-week tour of Japan, come back, do a couple of weeks in Puerto Rico, maybe take a week off, and then just kind of do the whole thing all over again.
Yeah, travel, man. Get out there. Leave that 40-mile bubble.
Exactly. 40
Get
miles.
the fuck out of
Talk about Bubbles.
And go see something, experience something, and bring it the fuck back home. Like
Exactly.
I always tell people this, and it makes me laugh now that Petro said it like that. I'd rather be a big fish. I mean, most people rather be a big fish in a small pond, which is their 40-mile bubble. That's cool because I'd rather be a great white shark in the fucking ocean because I want to travel.
Exactly.
I want to see the world. I want to be the world champion of Portland. It's like when Kevin Phoenix was the AIWF world champion. He was the world champion of North Carolina. Like he never went anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, so guys like Chris legitly were like, "Hey, we're gonna go wrestle in Puerto Rico this week, and then we're gonna be in Japan next week, and then we're gonna be back in fucking Amarillo, Texas this week, and then we're gonna be in Portland, Oregon this week, and then we're gonna be back in Puerto Rico, and then back in Japan." It's like.
But while he's in Portland, he's gonna win the intermediate championship and be the champion from start to division.
Exactly.
Start
to division.
Yeah, he's gonna be the champion on the whole gate in 82nd.
But you go over there on Pow, man. I just stepped out of my bounds. I'm not the champ here. Sorry, guys.
Can't defend the title. I'm 2 blocks away from where I'm supposed to be.
That's it.
Oh my god.
Man.
But yeah, it goes without saying, but the travel schedule back then for a lot of guys was ridiculous. I mean, we talk about the WWF travel schedule, basically being out on the road every damn night, but guys that
and Chris said he still held down a job while he did that.
I know, right?
So people don't talk about that, and he got real fired up, real passionate, like kind of like borderline angry talking about that. He's like, all these fucking old timers, they're like the kayfabe that they had fucking jobs, man. Like you guys are just more open about it, like fucking.
Exactly.
And he's like, I worked. He's like, I had a full-time job on top of this wrestling shit. He's like, why not get it from both ends? Like,
right?
Exactly.
Sometimes you gotta make your money where you make your money.
Yeah, I mean that's you're holding down the full-time job and you're traveling constantly, going out of the country. It's
in the old school.
In the
old school doing this, like fucking, that's got to be way fucking harder because you don't have the instant internet access. You still got to mail your shit out and put packages together to give fucking promoters, like.
And not just that, but we're talking early 90s All Japan, which is widely considered to be one of the roughest styles of wrestling ever, and I mean, you're working with guys like Stan Hansen every other night. I mean, come on.
And
guys now have no idea.
They call that man lariat for a reason because he hits you with that clothing.
Hit me with that one night out there. Fuck, we did that charity show of Best Buds, man. He was just throwing heat. There's that Stan Hansen punch. I watched him fall over the top rope backwards. He's hanging on the ropes by his toes, like inches off the ground, and all you could hear was which, if you know anything about wrestling, Big V, that's the number one symbol. He's fucked up.
Yep. Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
All right. I'm gonna have to cut out though. So thank you guys for allowing me to help be out here and honor Chris and just kind of put out his memorial. He did a lot for us, and I think that he did a lot for Measure 11 and the BCW brand in a whole. Like everybody that opened their hearts to him, he touched with fucking gold. And I don't know how to say much better things about him or put them in a better way than like, thank God that it chose him and was blessed to have him as a mentor and a fucking coach. Like this does, for me, it brought up a lot of bad stuff, man. Like I ain't been like so torn up about a wrestler's death like since Matt Bourne died, and like anybody that knows anything about me, like we weren't best friends, but my heart was very close to him.
Yes.
Like that's what gave me my love for the business. And then like when Chris gave me that, he added that fire, that passion, like encouraged me to continue traveling, told me everything that I was doing was what I needed to do for my journey, and if it's working for me, fuck everybody else. Ain't hurting nobody by traveling and learning and just running my own race, you know. And just he touched my life a lot, and just like it was great to have him as a mentor, and that kind of sucks because I now have to like expand my horizons and, you know, continue on to the next. It's a part of my journey, but like anything that I do from now on, like I'll always carry like what he taught with me, and just kind of, you know, fucking do my best to just make him fucking proud, and not through like, oh, you know, hey, he taught me this, but just through exercise of what he taught me and practicing genuine human kindness. Like when I tell motherfuckers every day, like, oh, I love you, like that's genuine, because we're not promised tomorrow. We're not guaranteed to live 10 minutes from fucking now. I could drop dead from a stroke at any point in time. I don't know that. I don't know that. And the fact that I wrestle and that we do wrestle, that shortens our life expectancy, whether we want to talk about that and we want to admit that or not. You know, both of those men, like Matt Bourne and Chris, was they're both 55, you know, and they're both yeah, exactly, one of the best teachers in the business. Like, you know, like they're just incredible, and it sucks that the good ones and the talented ones, that they got to go early. But like, man, if he did not leave a hell of a positive impact on everything he touched and everything that he walked through, I'm sure that he had his hard times and his trials and tribulations, and he's an asshole in somebody's fucking eyes. But in my book, for the years that I knew him here, he knew no more fucking beautiful place than this. Like, that guy made me appreciate being here in the Pacific Northwest probably a whole lot more, because every time he went somewhere new, you know, the words came out of his mouth, oh, this is beautiful.
Exactly.
He loved it. He loved it here. And like somebody not from here to find that beauty here, make somebody that's been here for, you know, so long, like reopen their eyes and look through that and fresh. So like, that's in and out of the ring perspective. You just take it, and he just makes you better for fucking knowing him. And like, unfortunately, like, you know, man, we don't get that no more.
We don't. We really don't. I agree pretty much everything you said. I mean, he was so much fun to be around. And when he and I were talking about being, you know, about him moving here and how it been something he had been wanting to do for a long time, it kind of made me remember why I wanted to, you know, be in Portland. And it just kind of made me remember all that and made me appreciate, you know, what I had as well.
And that's it, you know.
Portland has always been a hotbed of professional wrestling. Like, I remember when I lived in California, when I first started wrestling, or first started getting involved with wrestling, there was this show called the Wrestling International Network. And it would come on at 8:00 in the morning. It had Joe Pedicito and Gordon Solie.
Yep.
And yes, I'm dating now. I'm really fucking old. Yes, right. Because a lot of people are like, who the fuck are they? Anyway, I would, yeah, Petrov's out. Thank you very much for joining us, Petrov.
Thank you.
So I would watch this show, and they would talk about wrestling in Texas, WCCW, you know, the Von Erichs and Eric Embry and Jeff Jarrett with his long blonde, luscious locks, and Jerry Lawler, like 23-time fucking champion, and all that other cool shit.
Exactly.
They talk about wrestling in Texas, and they talk about wrestling in Puerto Rico, and they talk about the NWA. And the Youngbloods were like, they were like feuding with, I want to say, the Fantastics. Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton.
Puerto Rico?
No, in NWA. I think it was
NWA.
In NWA. They were like U.S. Tag Team Champions at the time. No.
I was gonna say, because if this is the time period I'm thinking of, this would have been more like when they were feuding with the Horsemen.
Yes. It was Blanchard and Anderson. But I know for a fact that they were feuding. It was World Class Championship Wrestling. I was thinking, because they were part of this group called the Tribal Nation.
Okay.
And then they were in Global Wrestling Federation, and that was the very first place I ever wrestled in Texas, Global Wrestling, and that's where I met Chaz Taylor when Chaz was like 150 pounds, soaking wet dude with a mullet. It was awesome. He came here as a child when Jay wrestled here, and he always wanted to move up here.
He
Kathy.
told me a fun story about that actually. So I always kind of found this amusing. He had mentioned his so when he was up in he had gone up to Seattle. He and I guess the family went to a Seahawks game, and so he was a kid, and he didn't really know much about football at that point. And so this was like one of the very first teams that he had ever seen, and so he instantly became a fan of the Seahawks, and he took that back with him to Texas. And so everybody there in Amarillo, they were saying like, what are you wearing that Seahawks shirt for? You're supposed to be a Cowboys fan. and all this shit. And I'm just like, that is fucking cool, That just tickled me. I love that story.
Man. Everyone goes into that Texas drawl when they just oh man. Yeah, it's shit. So yeah, you're talking about their time at FMW. He actually came up with the visionary gimmick in FMW.
Yes. So his time in FMW. Another interesting story that he told me.
He beat Rob Van Dam. I know that for a fact.
So he was there. So he was there solo, and he was actually he kind of formed this kind of a mini stable with the Samoans, and yeah. So he was working with Rosie and Jamal, who would become 3 Minute Warning. Jamal, the future Umaga, also resting in peace. And so at that time, he was doing the visionary, kind of an offshoot on the Medicine Man, kind of an updated Medicine Man persona at that time. He was working with guys like Masato Tanaka, who I know you're familiar with.
Yes.
Mr. Ganosuke,
Gato and Jado too.
Gato and Jado, yeah. Hayabusa was still going at that time as well. And
I think that's where he got his hip injury at, wasn't it?
It might have been. I know that I want to say, let me check something real quick because I want to say it was him and the Samoans. I think they became their 6-man tag champions. Let me see here. Double check here while I'm checking that out. But I know that he had a lot of matches with he especially worked with Gato and Tanaka, especially. And let's see here. That's right. So the Samoans were going under the name Armageddon. That's right. And Chris was doing like Broadway matches almost every night when he was there. He was there. He was doing 30-minute Broadways with Hisakatsu Oya. He did a 20-minute with Gato, another 30-minute with Oya. Man. Yeah, he had a heck of a run. I love it.
I will tell you, I remember this like it was yesterday, which kind of sucked for a lot of you people because I was 5 when this happened. But he was teaming with Ricky Steamboat in the Mid-Atlantic area of NWA for a long time, and I remember like they were like a tag team for like 79 to like fucking 1983, dude. They dominated there. And then he went over to AP to All Japan Pro Wrestling and the Real World Tag Team League, and he did a lot of things there. I mean, I remember distinctively a match that him and Mark had against the fucking team of Stan Hansen and Terry Bam Bam Gordy.
Yes. I wish
Yeah.
if that match wasn't so long, I'd honestly suggest that we watch that one.
That would have been a good match to watch.
Yeah.
But he's also wrestled Pogo and Savio Vega.
Yep.
Cheeky and Ron Starr.
Yeah, when Savio was doing the TNT gimmick.
Yeah, exactly. They wrestled. As a matter of fact, they wrestled at Clash of Champions. They wrestled the Nasty Boys right before Knobs and Sacks left for WWE.
That's right.
They lost to Anderson and Barry Windham at Clash of Champions in Gainesville, Georgia.
Yep.
Let
me see here.
They wrestled Steve Simpson and Coney and Chris Walker at GWF back in the day. I remember that, and that was like for the North American tag belts. Yeah, it was, man, just so much, man. It was.
I know.
Yeah, it was crazy. Crazy.
Giant Steel. I'm trying to remember who was Giant Steel. Chris was.
Giant Steel was God.
Oh,
Big Titan.
Big Titan, yeah. That's right. Big Tiger Steel.
God, we are so old. We're wrestling. We're wrestling nerds. Like, here we are bringing up stuff from like the 80s, and people are like, "I wasn't even born then."
Yeah.
His best match. Yeah, that's right. His best matches were in Puerto Rico. Classic matches.
Yep, Puerto Rico and All Japan for sure.
Anytime you wrestle Cordy and Hansen and you live, that's good shit.
And he had to wrestle them multiple times. So you want to, I mean, and he was still pretty young in his career at that point. I mean, he was still he was only like 4 or 5 years in. I mean, in pro wrestling terms, that's still kind of, you're still kind of a baby at that point. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm looking at all this and I'm like, let's see, one of the final appearances. Yeah, so he was with All Japan up until 96, and holy crap, I mean, looking at some of these matches here that he had. I mean, you brought up Rob Van Dam, yeah. So try to imagine this picture, right?
I'm thinking about it right now.
This. So you got Rob Van Dam, who is, I mean, this is 96, so he is he's starting to come into his own at this point. I mean, he's starting to become pretty infamous. This is right around the time he's got the Sabu feud going.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Van Dam is teaming with Kamala. Kamala.
That's right.
Freaking Kamala and Rob Van Dam. You couldn't ask for two more polar opposites.
Hey, it works, man. It works.
It works, yeah. Oh my God. I'd totally forgotten about some of the names, that, let's see. Yeah, Kerfot and Furnace. I mean that's a wrestling education right there.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who you are. Let's see here. In fact, this was something we were going to talk about as well. He frequently was facing the Patriot on some of those tours.
That's right. Rest in peace, Del Wilkes.
That's right.
Just passed away, what, Thursday of last week?
Yeah, less than a week ago.
Wow.
I know. Yeah, so he was working with the Patriot. He was working with Joel Deaton, who was the Patriots' partner over in All Japan, he was using the Eagle persona. Ricky Santana, another guy that was he was working with over in Japan that we're more familiar with here in the States, especially in Florida and Puerto Rico. Some of the foreign names that they had in over in All Japan in the mid '90s. I mean, we all know Abdullah the Butcher, obviously. Fantastics. So you're trying to get on the phone with someone?
I was making a phone call to Tommy Celsius. Yeah, I mean, shit. Some of the things that he's did, man, are like legendary. You know, the whole Youngblood family, man. Mark, Chris, Jay,
Yes.
Ricky, like all these guys, man. Like, just
And
you
even
can't
there,
mention.
even with Rito Romero.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Rito Romero, and he was when he got started, it was the he was having to overcome segregation at that point, you know, and so imagine what he had to overcome to make his name. Yeah,
well, I want to see what we can do. Let's figure out a way. Let's figure out a way to help raise money or awareness or whatever in honor of Chris.
I'd like that.
I know the show. We had a show set up.
Yeah.
We had a show set up, and I just saw a picture that Chris sent me.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me choke up a little bit because of the situation that's going on right now. He sent me a picture of him and Terry Funk at his wedding.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And it just dawned on me that he sent a tweet to me. He sent a picture to me in a tweet, July 6, 2018. He was married July 3rd. And I remember we were talking about that because my birthday is July 1st. And I was saying that the party is going to last all week long because of the 4th of July. And he's like, well, the 3rd of July is my wedding, so the party's going to last all night long. Oh, man. Wow. Yeah. I just saw the picture right now. It just made me terrible of it, so I apologize.
I totally understand.
Look at this comment right here. Ricky, I wish we can get you on the show, man. Ricky Santana is a good family friend. I remember the missing link coming to my house and scaring the shit out.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So yeah, missing link will scare the shit out of me too.
And 93. So listen to this. This list of Gaijin names. So you have Pete Roberts, who was a WWF, WWE undercard guy.
You should let the fans know what Gaijin means.
Okay, so that's basically in the eyes of
that's what Japanese call Americans.
A foreign wrestler, yeah.
Foreigners,
so not just American, but this can also, British, Australian, German, so on and so forth.
That's how the Bullet Club came to be, which is funny now because the Bullet Club is a bunch of Japanese wrestlers. Yeah. But the Bullet Club basically came to be because of the Americans coming over and working together. That's how that started out.
Big Bubba Rogers was on this
Oh
tour.
my God, that's right. Big Bubba, no trouble.
Frequent face on these tours, Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis. He was there
People
for
power.
years and years. Yep.
The
Stan
guy
Hansen,
running WWE right now.
Stan Hansen, another frequent name on those tours. Kendall Windham, a
That's
name
right,
a
the
lot of people
youngest.
don't talk about these days.
Kendall Windham was the man, bro.
Yeah.
He
Kendall
wasn't-
Windham, younger brother of Barry Windham, one of Blackjack Mulligan's sons. So that's another name.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you don't really see that. You don't really see that name now.
The
This is the
uncle
name.
of Bray Wyatt
That's right.
and
Now
Bo
this-
Dallas.
Yep. This is a name a lot of people. I mean, will know who he is, but a lot of our fans might not know. So when you hear the name Kurt Beyer, you might not get who that is at first. The Destroyer,
Mm-hmm.
one of the most legendary masked wrestlers of all time, and he was on that tour. Just imagine imagine that. You got Kurt Beyer and the Youngbloods going at it. That's some wow.
Man.
I love going
I'm
through
telling you, man.
these old results here, these old lineups, and just seeing some of the names. You kind of get used to seeing, but there are just some weird names that you're like, he was over there. What? And you're just like, oh my God. Like you're kind of used to seeing the name Abdullah the Butcher, obviously, but you see the name
Mhm.
Abdullah the Butcher and Kamala versus the Youngbloods. I'm like, what was that match like?
That was a savage ass match. That's what that was.
I'm like, wow.
I'm just calling it like I see it. That was a savage ass match.
Barry Horowitz.
Oh my God, the winner.
Barry
the winner.
Horowitz. Wow. You got Barry Horowitz and Richard Slinger.
Timbo said it best. I don't know why it's not working for me, but maybe you can pull up Tim's comment. So
Yeah.
the Youngbloods versus the Funks in All Japan must have been awesome.
He told
Man.
so many stories about working with the Funks.
Yeah, that's what made me think about the Terry Funk picture that you sent me.
Yeah. So Richard
Sell out Barry
Slinger.
Horowitz.
So Richard Slinger, I want to say he was related to somebody fairly famous in the industry, and I'm trying to remember who it was. For some reason, it's not coming to me.
They were too famous if you can't remember it.
Fairly good point, but still.
Yeah, I'm just being honest, man. Just being honest.
I know. Oh God, let's see. I know it's. Oh, his uncle was Terry Gordy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have to ask Miranda about that.
Yeah. So Richard Slinger, cousin was Ray Gordy. So yeah.
Ray Gordy. That's right. Look, it's crazy. This whole industry, man, is built around guys like Chris, guys like Terry Bam Bam Gordy, guys like Dr. Death Steve Williams, guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Just it's so crazy the way things turn out.
I know, and guys that you see early on that you don't, you're kind of figuring, you might see them once or twice, and you figure you're probably never going to see them again, and then they end up becoming a cornerstone of our business, of our industry, and it just kind of blows your mind when you look back on it later on.
Just like Chris, you know,
Yeah.
he came to BCW and he was such a very like down to earth, like just easygoing guy, you know. And then you think about the lineage this guy's got. Like
I
this guy's
know.
done like so much stuff, you know, over the course of X amount of decades. You know, he's
I know. I know.
man.
Yeah. Looking back, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize the Youngbloods actually were working in WCW into '91. I thought they had left at the end of '90, but sure enough. Oh, that's right, because their match against the Horsemen, Anderson and Wyndham, that was in really really early '91. Okay,
It was a Clash of Champions.
that's right. Yeah, and I'm looking at all these. Yeah, so the clash before that was against the Nasty Boys, and
Mm-hmm.
here's a match it's a house show, so finding it is probably going to be next to impossible, but I would love to see this match. Chris and Mark Youngblood against Barry Horowitz and the Iron Sheik.
Oh my fucking god!
I would pay good money to see that match.
You know my feelings on the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, you know mine too.
Let's just say if the Sheik asks you to carry his bags, you tell him to go fuck himself.
Exactly. So this one made TV. I got to track this one down. It was the Midnights against the Youngbloods. Yeah, and this was a TV match, so it is
Let's see if we can
available
find that one.
somewhere.
How about this one right here?
Hmm.
Then against the Nasty Boys.
Yes, the Nasty Boys. I just watched that match not too long ago, in fact, because that was a clash match that felt like it didn't go terribly long. Of course,
that
they're
was another
proceed-
Clash of Champions.
Yeah. And of
So
course,
let's do this. While you're looking for that match, let's ask Rick Romero. Rick, would you like to be on the podcast tonight and tell some stories? Because this is the night that we're honoring your uncle. This is the night that we're honoring the legend that is the legend and the legacy that is Chris Romero, otherwise known to the wrestling world as Chris Youngblood. If you would like to be on the podcast tonight, we would certainly love to have you on. You can message me on Facebook. You can send us a private message here, and we will figure out kind of story about politics at the time when they were about to. Yes. Let's talk about it.
So this is unrelated, but so I'm going to describe a match to you, and you tell me where do you think this match took place at?
Oh shit!
Without looking ahead. So the Youngbloods, Chris and Mark, against Rip Oliver and Abuadine.
I'm going to say Vancouver, Washington, for the NWA Pacific Northwest.
You would be incorrect, although that is a hell of a good guess.
Shit. Okay.
That was a match in Bayamon, Puerto Rico.
Oh my god.
A lot of Portland guys ended up in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that was the thing back in the day. Al Madrill, fucking the Grappler, Playboy Buddy Rose, Roddy Piper, like Billy Jack Haynes. If you were in the Pacific Northwest, if you wrestled in the Pacific Northwest, you wrestled in 3 places: Los Angeles, Texas, and Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And if you were lucky, some of you went to Japan.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of that, Funks and Youngbloods match, found one from the Real World Tag League in '87, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, Rick, I'm going to send you an email. You can. It's going to be in the chat here. Send your information here, and we will get you on the podcast. And we can. As a matter of fact, we can send you a link right now if you want to come on tonight. send me your email address, and I will get the link out to you. And yeah, we can do that.
Here's a fun one. The Youngbloods versus the Great Kabuki
Oh my God.
and John Tenta.
Oh, okay. You have to play that. You have to play that match.
If I can find it, I absolutely will.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to a quick commercial break while the super producer here, Tony DeBurn, finds that match. And we will be right back with hopefully the match of the decade. We'll be right back.
Drive me insane! All these rules are lame, cause they're taking all the fun out! Drive me insane! All these rules are lame, cause they're taking all the fun out! Drive me insane! All these rules.
When you want to get your hair cut, you go get your hair cut right. You head down to Big D's Barbershop. Big D's Barbershop, Vancouver, Washington's best and brightest. 1019 Main Street, Vancouver, Washington, where you can go get your hair lined up, cuts, fades, shampoos, conditions, and all the great things that go with supporting a local barbershop in a local business area. You can also reach them online at www.bigdsbarbershop.com. Go get your haircut right.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Tony, did you find the elusive match?
So I got some good news and some bad news here.
Good news
Good
is
news
it's Wednesday.
is-
You know what that means.
Well, that's true. The good news is, yes, I found the match. The bad news is it's behind a paywall, and I'm not exactly sure how to access it.
Well, damn.
I know, right? The
Seen
Real
it
World
happen
Tag
somewhere.
League in 1987. It's part of the it's a part of All Japan's streaming service, and I am not seeing how to actually sign up for it or how much it costs.
Well, damn. That's okay. It is okay because we're on here having the most fun. We're celebrating Chris's life, and we have Ricky in the chats.
But yeah, I love going back and just reading through all this stuff. I mean, you got a 1990 match where it was this had to be Devastation Inc. here. So it's Chris Youngblood, Gary Young, and Jeff Gaylord against Chris Adams, Jimmy Jack Funk,
Another Portland native.
and Dustin Rhodes.
Oh my God, young Dustin Rhodes, a natural.
Like extreme, like this had to be. So was this before or after his appearance in WWF at the Rumble? Oh, this would have been right around the exact same time. It was the same month. This had to have been like a couple of weeks beforehand. Holy shit. This might have been one of his very first matches ever. Man. Love to track that match down too. And matches against Dutch Mantel. One against Kerry Von Erich.
How about we do something we normally don't do here? We haven't done this in a long time. Why don't we play NWA Blue Collar Wrestling from October 16th, 2016.
All
In
right.
that match, are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? We can play one of two matches. We can play Harley Race versus Chris Youngblood. We can play Jonathan Holiday and Fatu versus Mark and Chris. We can play Blue Collar Wrestling Measure 11 versus Tex Thompson and Chris Youngblood. I would love to play that one. That was February 12th of 2017.
Let me see what I can do here.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back while Tony pulls up that awesome ass match. And showcase.
There it is.
Measure 11. We'll be right back.
Professional wrestling is one of the toughest sports going today. If you ever dreamed of being a professional wrestler, then former WWE superstar and World Tag Team Champion Sir Mo of the famed tag team Men on a Mission invites you, yes, you, to join his Bumps and Bruises Academy. Now in 2 locations in Carrollton, Texas, and Sherwood, Arkansas. Allow Sir Mo and his head coach, Dante Smiley, and other coaches to get you on the road to an exciting and rewarding career. Classes forming now for your shot. Contact Sir Mo at 704-819-7312 or fill out an information questionnaire now. Don't wait, make your dreams come true today by joining the Bumps and Bruises Pro Wrestling Academy.
Hi, this is James Beard with SWE Fury, and you're watching the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out from the boy James Beard.
All right.
So Tony, ladies and gentlemen, is our technical producer. He always finds the cool shit. So let's see if Tony found the cool shit today.
I guess we will see here in just a moment. Shout out to Kathy Kemp for the footage here.
This is the aforementioned Measure 11 match we spoke about earlier with Petrov. Tex Thompson, the Terry Funk of BCW, affectionately known as the Terry Funk of BCW, teamed up with Chris Romero, known to the world as Chris Youngblood here. And this was back in February 12th, 2017, when BCW Worldwide was part of the NWA.
That's right. Jack's looking pretty spry here.
I mean, it was like 4 years ago. Of course he was. Shit, I was flipping over the top rope 4 years ago.
You remember that ring announcer we had there?
He was really good. I can't think of his name right now.
I can't either, but so like apparently
I've seen him.
So apparently he went off to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then never saw him again.
He came to a BCW event before the pandemic.
Okay. Right.
And,
Chris Youngblood.
He showed up and we were like, oh shit.
Where the hell have you been?
Yeah, you're alive. That's right. Chris Youngblood right there. Tex Thompson about to face one of the most dominant tag teams in BCW worldwide history. Yes, Native Blue, you were there. 2017 BCW.
That's
Here
right.
they come.
Mhm.
Gregor Petrov and the ticking time bomb, Mr. Identity Crisis himself, Tommy Celsius,
Yep.
who probably is asleep on the East Coast right now.
I would imagine so. Hey, there's Lance Dean's with them as well.
Yeah, that's when Lance Dean was a probie for Measure 11.
Right.
He wanted to be part of their gang. Lance Dean, another guy who was a Mr. Identity Crisis.
I don't remember Tommy wearing the trunks.
I remember that distinctively. You know, sometimes you see shit, and when you see it, you're just like, "Fuck, did I really see that?"
Yeah.
And it burns into your subconscious.
And we got the jump start.
There it is.
I noticed Lance is also wearing one of one of Petrov's pairs of tights there. Was this kind of their thing? Because I think I had just come back at this point, so
Okay, so I can tell you the story. What happened was Measure 11 had just poured bleach in your eyes.
no, this was way before. This was
no,
way before
this was after, because they just wore their shirt to the ring with the Clorox.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So they had just poured bleach into your eyes, and you were gone.
Back body drop.
And Chris came in because Measure 11 attacked Tex right before Cauliflower Alley, and Tex said he had a big surprise for them.
Okay,
And
okay. Now
Chris was the surprise.
now I
Although
remember.
it wasn't really a surprise because it was promoted like weeks ahead of time, so it kind of wasn't a surprise. But yeah, go figure.
I kind of wish we could have kept them together a lot longer. I mean, they had a hell of a thing going.
Measure 11.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they did. They had this whole bleach thing going where they poured bleach on people, and
Yeah. But even before that, I mean, even when they were first starting to team up, God, that would have been when we had BJ Whitmer in. That was when Tommy and Petrov were starting to team up.
True.
Yeah, they had been doing that. They had actually been teaming kind of off and on for a while, and then it just kind of became a official thing. Uh, 2016, I want to say 2016, 2017. Petrov's trying to get some heat from the crowd. You didn't really have a lot of teams who were, kind of buying time like this. You don't really see this much anymore. It's kind of a Memphis thing. And,
Don't talk to me about Memphis.
well, Tommy, I mean, he spent a lot of time in that area too, so he was pretty well familiar with it. He was there's that.
He was a ride or die for the business. That is the fucking truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice uppercut there. Working the eyes along that rope. Good little rope burn. Yeah, Chris was one of the unique guys who he loved wrestling. He loved the business of professional wrestling, but he also had the ability, and I alluded to this earlier, that he could separate himself. Oh, get that elbow.
Yeah, we know how Tex Thompson is.
But yeah, Chris could separate himself, the business, like the family man from the wrestler. And again, that was one of the reasons why he was so much fun to hang out with. And we talked about it. He's a huge movie buff.
Yeah.
We always talked about when I had the chance, I was going to cast him in one of my short films eventually.
Shit, maybe we can do a story about Chris at BCW. Look at this. Technically sound.
Yep.
He looked like a long-haired hippie referee.
Wonder whatever happened to him.
Yeah, he fell into obscurity.
Yep.
When you follow a false prophet, you get lost.
Yep. Working that
A
headlock.
nice side headlock.
Definitely working that headlock. Big tackle.
Now this right here is very true. He did not green bash, and what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you're working with someone who's new to the business, we say that they're green, greener than grass, greener than goose shit. He never spoke bad about anyone that he worked. He always had a smile, like, you can always see the gap in his front teeth through that smile. like he was such a fucking happy dude.
I actually had the privilege of doing one of Chris's training sessions, and I mean, he always had a really unique way of some of the basic stuff, but he could teach you different ways to do things that could make you stand out, and that was something that I always appreciated about him. Just something, even if it's just one small thing to separate yourself from everybody else, if it makes you stand out, kind of like that.
I have to say it. Is that when he possessed him? Yeah.
I think so. And Chris, yeah, Chris getting it again. Just going back to the headlock. One thing I noticed, you never hear anybody say, get it again. You never hear that anymore. Tackle, drop down, get it again.
You know what? I'm gonna do that. I have a OIWA North American Championship defense coming up on the 30th of this month in Washington, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to say that during my match.
Now, the question is, do you think the other guy is going to understand what you're talking about?
Probably not. Probably not. Which is going to make it even funner for me,
Got Petrov right in the face with that kick. Yeah, like I said, you never hear anybody say that. Nice tomahawk chop right to the head. Petrov's off in a whole other world. I love it.
I think this is what Petrov alluded to, being under the spell.
Missed the fist drop there, though, unfortunately. Missing two. Answers back with a chop. Something else that I bet people don't don't hear or understand anymore.
Duck,
Duck 2, watch the elbow.
duck knee. Tesla 1, Chinese food. What's that? Like, well, you'll find out.
Yeah, you'll find out.
Is it just me or is Tommy extremely pale? Like, I think the white balance is off.
It might be. Got the cover and makes the tag. I think this is what you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at this move. Did he blow up already?
He might be. It's not as disturbing when Lone Star does it. I mean, it's still somewhat disturbing, but not nearly as much.
It's
so.
disturbing, not scary. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. It's frightening when Tex does it, but Petrov not having any of it. Not having any of it.
So funny.
Oh. I'll knock some people off.
Mm-hmm.
Knock people into the next zip code. Oh. Misses that body splash in the corner, and we got a bull rope in the ring.
Oh, God.
We got a bull rope in the ring. That's a cowbell. We'll say this. Lance knew where to be on that one.
And Measure 11 steals the victory.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a fateful night.
Indeed.
This was a night. I just thought about it. Now I know why Chris said that.
Petrov was he had just taken which title? Oh, it was the BCW heavyweight title, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he had just taken that off a highway not too long ago.
Yeah, I believe it was. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to do this. It's been an emotional day for a lot of us here in BCW.
It has.
Tony, myself, several other people I've spoke to over the course of the day. I'm going to end the podcast now.
Yeah.
I know we had a couple other people that were going to come on, but I'd rather just end it now on a good note.
Yeah. That's a good way to go out, I think.
Chris Youngblood was an amazing man, good friend, a father, a brother, an uncle, a dad. All these cool things that what can sum up just who he was. And I would like to say thank you. Thank you for being a good friend to me when I needed it the most. Thank you for caring when I needed that moment. I needed a shoulder to cry on. Thank you for giving me advice. Thank you for making me laugh. Thank you for, showing me respect and allowing me to show you the same respect in return. Thank you for being just a fucking amazing person. And
100%.
yeah, I like to end the podcast by saying God has got himself another angel, and Chris is now with his dad and his brother. And Heaven has got one hell of a fucking 6-man tag team going on up there right now. Just, ladies and gentlemen, be kind to each other and love each other, because you never know, today might be the last day. I'm one of those people that I hate to go to bed upset or angry with someone, because I don't know if tomorrow I will have an opportunity to make what I did wrong or what was wrong right. So I'm asking everyone, in memory of Chris. Chris was a good dude, and he didn't harbor any ill will towards anyone. I'm asking that you do the same. Love each other, respect each other, and be well. And with that, for your boy Tony the Burns, I'm the franchise. And I'd just like to say thank you for joining us tonight. Anything to say, Tony?
Please take care of yourselves. Tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. Like Petrov said, tell your friends, tell your family that you love them. Let them know that no matter what happens, you're always going to be there for them.
Thank you very much for joining us, guys. See you next week.